All right, so it's 7:04, and we'll call this monthly meeting, the December meeting of the City of Burlington's Historic Preservation Commission to order. Would you like to take the roll?
Yes, sir. Chair Pennington,
Here?
Vice Chair N.S. Hewitt,
Here.
Member Williams,
Here.
Member Seiler, Member Warren,
Here.
Member Passman is currently absent, Member Benson.
Present.
You have a quorum.
That's great. Our first item of business is approval of the minutes. I trust you've had an opportunity to review the minutes. Are there revisions to the minutes that people would like to propose?
Do I need to request an excuse reason for being absent, or is it, I wasn't sure the technicalities of that. Okay. Then no.
All right, can I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
By acclamations, okay? Good. Okay, our next item of business is a certificate of appropriateness application from Mr. Robert Allen Hall for 615 West Davis Street.
I can do a quick introduction of the case that's in front of you. It is 615 West Davis Street, case number 126163. Mr. Hall is in the audience and present. He has applied for a major COA because he is seeking to do a side addition to his existing house. He did start construction before he came to the Historic Preservation Commission, and also before he received building permits. But he is advised this is the correct course of procedure and action. Included in your packet are pictures of the size, you could use it for size reference, of the building addition. It is roughly 8 feet by 12 feet. Mr. Hall can speak specifically to the case and the circumstances for his improvement. As indicated in the application, he is seeking to just construct the addition to be consistent 100%
Yes.
with the building materials that are currently on his home. That would include the roof materials, the siding materials, as well as the window frames and panes themselves. You'll see also in the packet that the addition is to the east of his driveway, not near to the side yard setback. I've also included findings of facts for your consideration, and staff's recommendation. Unfortunately, we have these cases time to time where construction begins. However, I feel confident based upon the information that we have received that Mr. Hall is acting in good faith, and he can present his case specifically.
Great, okay, good. Would you like to swear him in?
Sure. Do you want to stand? And do you affirm to tell the truth to the best of your ability?
Yes.
Okay, can you just state your name and your address for the record?
Robert A. Hall, 615 West Davis Street, Burlington.
Okay. You're welcome to stand right here to speak into the mic. And
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're proposing to do?
Well, really, the house was built about 100 and some years ago, and it has very old glass and things like that, so I've even sent to Warren County to get some old glass, the age of the house, and which I was lucky to find. It's hard to find it. And I have samples of the shingles that are on the outside of the house are the same original shingles of the house. And so the moldings are exactly like the moldings on the house. But I needed closet space because the house was built and it had 7 fireplaces to heat it. And of course, these 3 sisters that it was built for had to walk up from the coal, being in the basement, up 2 flights to get the upper fireplaces to feed the coal in. But it had no closets. On the side of the fireplaces was closets about this deep. You can't even turn the racks. And there was no rods in there, so there was just nails on the back where they hung their clothes on the back of the walls. And so I had rods put in when I bought the house 51 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been dealing with that with no closet space. So really this is an extension of closet for storage mainly. But I wanted it to be consistent with the architectural design of the house. That's the reason I went to great efforts to get windows that were the same age, and it mimics a sleeping porch, which I have a sleeping porch on the upper floor anyway, but it really but see, I have shutters to go on the inside so I can still hang things and it wouldn't show from the street. Of course, I mean, the bushes hide you can barely see it from the street anyway, and only at certain angles. But I've tried to do everything just the way it would have been done, because I do respect history, and architectural design is a part of my degree. And so I've tried to do everything according to what I feel to be right.
Other questions from commission members?
Oh, I might add that my wife has had 4-stage non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She has lots of clothing. People give her many things, many nice things, and she tries to go through it and get rid of some of it, but it's just, we've got racks hanging in the house, and so it's primarily a space that we can store some things and get rid of things that are hazardous to falls and things like that.
Mr. Hall, are those windows that they're showing right there on the screen, is that the example that you were talking about, that you picked up to match?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You see the sleeping porch windows on the upper level?
Uh-huh.
It's very similar to
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Of course, things of that age, and now the glass that is in several of the windows are the old glass. I have replacement glass panes for these. It just hasn't been put in.
Okay.
And so it will be old glass, just like in the rest of the house.
You went to great efforts to find that, I'm sure, that same type of glass.
It came from about over 100 miles away
Yeah, right.
in Warren County.
Are you working with a contractor, Mr. Allen?
Myself. I'm just trying to I do a few things. I'm not gifted. I don't have the tools. So neighbors and friends have come in and helped somewhat also.
Okay.
So it's just a progress of love. I tore out, some things last night, you know, while my wife is resting, so.
I noticed that the porch addition is on, it's on posts right now. And is your intention to finish it off with it elevated on the posts like that?
Yes, yeah. Right, they are, treated lumber set in concrete. I believe it was from 16 inches to 2 feet deep. And the posts are set in there about, I believe maybe the post was set 16 inches deep, I believe. And they're 6x6 posts. And it's very stable, and we connected to the original, and the band around the bottom will be the same, and the corner boards are the same as original, and the wide boards that connect to the piece of special made molding that goes in between it is the same as the house was.
Did you have to take out some landscaping to put this in?
That's what I really begged for. I didn't get on my knees, but I almost did. I have English boxwood that has been there for the duration of the house that I've cared for. I've got them all around the house, and they said they had to go. And I said, let me see if we can. So I tied them back and protected the root system, and they worked around it. But none of the vegetation has been cut back except a dogwood tree that the branches would, you know. But the
So those are
boxwood-
currently tied back?
No, nothing is currently tied.
Okay.
Well, I don't think so. I don't believe so. No, the branches of the dogwood was cut away, and the boxwood, I don't think they're tied right at this point. I tied them to start with,
Yeah.
just the day that they were digging the holes.
I think one of the reasons I'm asking is I'm wondering if there's gonna be landscaping along the posts there, in front of the posts.
Well, as you see, the boxwood are there, so
Yeah.
there won't be any additional, because there's no need for it. That's the original boxwood and the Cuba and variegated of Cuba that has always been there.
I think what he's asking is, will there be any screening or additional trim work to the beams that
Right.
are there since they're exposed like they are?
Do I need to?
Well, I think what would often happen, and I think the standards may call for, there's some kind of screening or landscaping to hide those posts or enclose that in some way.
Well, the boxwood will grow. They're very slow growers. They're English boxwood, but when they are put in place, you can barely see. Now, I think the scaffolding, maybe the scaffolding's not showing on this. The scaffolding, but anyway, I mean, if it looks unsightly, for any reason, I would do landscaping, but otherwise, I guess it will just be kept open air, as far as I mean, that's what my plans would be.
I think if you look at that bottom left picture and scroll up a little bit, you can see kind of the idea that maybe we're thinking about to hide those exposed posts, if that makes any sense. I know that's difficult to do because obviously you've already got
The boxwood
The
are
boxwood's there to
I
do
could
that.
add to that.
yeah.
I could add to, something to, which I've started, my neighbor, gave me a, camellia. And that I did not want to take out, so it's gonna have to grow out quite a bit. But, for many reasons, my mother's holding it in her portrait, a bloom off of it. And, Helen Eaton knew she was going to the retirement home, so she told me to go over there and dig it up and give it to Daisy. That was my mother. And so that's very important to me, and I've tried to, but it's probably about 6 feet away, the root system. But it's going out, so I'm hoping it will live, but I've started some cuttings from that too. And I have cuttings of the Acuba, and I have more boxwood that I could fill in with. Of course, those boxwood are probably about as tall as I am. And I think the band, they cover the band, because they've had to pull it back, and the original banding was done with a drip cap in between two members of molding, which is unusual, but they're even doing that. They're using the two pieces with the drip cap to hide the joint. And
To match the other, yeah.
Yeah. Which it could have been done in one piece and
Right.
then just add the drip cap to it, but. I love my house.
It's a beautiful house.
It's beautiful.
One of my questions, Mr. Hall, is about the roof line. What I can see in these photos here, there are exposed rafters that are there.
Like the original house.
Are those on the, because I couldn't see them on the pictures of the original house.
Oh, okay, go back.
Now I do see them. When I look at this photo on the last
Now,
page, I see them.
they're not on the downstairs sunroom, which was added about 45 years ago.
Yeah,
They're not on that. That's boxed in. But I was working so hard and the contractor that I had come didn't understand that I wanted it done the original way.
yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway.
okay, I can see this.
But all the upper part of the house, and the lower part of the house that's not the additional sunroom of 45 years ago are done with the exposed rafters. They call them medallions that come through, and it's a real study because when you go up that high, someone had to cut pieces of the molding to go in between each rafter.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very tedious thing to do. But anyway, that's the way I've had it done on this.
Mr. Hall, I'm Christy Benson.
Oh, hey.
I wanted to tell you how beautiful your house is
Oh,
and
thank you.
to say hello to a neighbor because I live right across the street from you at 622 Davis. So I'm right there, like a couple doors down and across.
Okay, are you at 622, are you in front of Pat and Bobby Basin?
No, I'm right next door. So if Fifth Street, I'm 2 houses over from Fifth Street. You know the house that just burned?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 2 doors down from them, going towards.
The house with the very tall columns in the front.
With the big square columns.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, I love your house, it's really beautiful.
Well, thank you, thank you.
And kudos
Welcome to come and see the.
on the
box
structural,
garden.
like, it looks like it's almost over-engineered, structurally, because these beams are really big and,
Yeah, yeah, it does.
so my only question was just sort of echoing, I'm not a gardener. I don't know much about English boxwoods. They're beautiful, but are they gonna even survive if they're up underneath there? Is there any possibility of, like, it would be a major project to dig them up and move them out? Would
they're
they survive?
almost-
I just don't know enough about
Yeah.
English boxwoods to know.
The line of boxwood is almost equal to the projection of the room, the closets that's being put in. And.
Seems like they won't get enough light up under there.
Yes, they will, because I have a hydrangea bush that is in between, and it comes out. But the English boxwood, see, they're in front of the post, almost. But one of them was close, and when they dug the hole, The root system I thought might be damaged, but I don't believe it is. So, but anyway, I could replace and put some in between if anything happens, but I don't think that anything's gonna happen. Henny Brannock had English boxwood, and I learned a lot from her. Dr. Brannock's widow, and then her daughter is 93, and she mows her own yard and takes care of all
wow.
those beautiful old English boxwood up as you go to May Circle, you know, where the Davis Street splits. And Ann Strange is her name, and she takes care of her own boxwood. And rose garden. He had rose gardens too, which are
Because
beautiful.
one thing that occurred to me is one way to screen this could be to sort of enclose or partially enclose it, and then you could actually use that part underneath as like garden storage area or something like that.
That would
Have a
be-
little door and then have that be storage area underneath
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
And then you could just side it in rather than having to worry about screening it off with vegetation.
I invite you to come see it.
Just a thought, it's hard to visualize the whole thing with just pictures,
Yeah,
but.
I think you could see it more naturally than what it looks from the pictures, maybe. But anyway.
But if you were to try to enclose it and make it a storage space, then you would actually be, it's hard to tell, would you actually be enclosing some of the boxwoods underneath there? Or are the boxwoods out enough that it's just hard, it's
I
hard to
don't think
see
so. I think
the line?
if you did it wisely, and not cut a foundation to whatever you do, I don't think it would affect anything. But I think the boxwood at the column, I mean the post that is nearest the where you're seated, that root system almost touches the where they had to dig for the concrete
Uh-huh.
to be poured. And that's what I was they said it was gonna have to come out,
Yeah.
and I didn't want it to come out.
So right now, there's a concrete pillar holding each post, but there's not like a concrete slab that goes
No.
underneath the whole thing.
No,
Yeah.
no, but it might be a good idea to do.
Yeah, no, it's not the goal to add expense, it's just the goal
Right,
to,
yeah.
make it look like it tones in with everything else, and
Yeah.
the big wide columns are structurally great, but,
Yeah.
just look a little different than the rest of the house.
Yeah. Well, and then too, after so long a time, they could be painted, at least on the face. And,
That would be what I would suggest, in the interim, to have the pillars match the trim. That's certainly up to you guys in terms of whether you wanna add, should you approve this, whether you wanna add that as a condition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Mr. Hall, the other materials we should probably ask about are roofing and shingles.
okay, the shingles are, am I allowed to step forward?
Of course.
The shingles are the original shingles to the house, and so many of them have been torn away. It's a cedar shed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you have just extra shingles?
I do.
Wow, you have enough to cover that whole.
Wow, you've been saving them for this project.
Well, not necessarily. This came about, see, I was almost 60 years old before I married, so I
Wow.
didn't think I was gonna have to add all these things, for-
So did you live there alone until then?
My mom.
I see.
Yeah,
Wow.
my mother. And this is the,
Siding.
it's the ceiling and the flooring.
All right.
And, then some of this other, oh, here's one of the, pieces of the old molding. that
Oh,
we
yeah.
had reproduced.
We're just thrilled to see it's not vinyl.
Oh, my, not me, not me. Here's another piece, type of molding that was, I had to have reproduced.
And what is your plan for the roofing?
The roofing is the same roofing that's on the, rest of the house, which was done about 12 years ago.
Is that asphalt? Asphalt
Yes,
shingle probably?
they're asphalt. But they're a slate-looking color.
Mm-hmm.
And most everyone that has come there has thought that they were slate.
Slate has a lot of maintenance. From what I've heard, I've never had to.
And it's becoming more rare to find people to work on slate roofs. I'm an interior designer, and I was doing work for right many customers, and I remember Harold Smith told me that, he had to go to Durham to find a company, because Ailey's, Ailey Smith Cooper House, up on West Levy Street, it had, slate, and it was leaking, badly, and he had time to get someone to fix that.
Are there other questions for Mr. Holm?
No, but I thank each of you for showing up on this, this kind of night, especially.
Happy to be here, of course. Are we reading findings of fact into the,
I would say you would want to make a motion and then read into the record the findings of facts, or if there's any discussion on the findings of facts, want to have that first. The findings of facts are included in the staff report on, I believe, the second page. And then if there's anything else that you want to add, discuss.
all right, for new commission members, the findings of fact are relevant items from the design standards, and they're proposed by staff. You're always welcome to make a motion to include others that you might think to be relevant. All right, so do we proceed to a motion on the proposal first?
I would say, if there's any discussion on the findings of fact,
Okay.
usually you would make a motion to include the findings of fact.
To incorporate them by reference into our decision.
Got it, okay.
To do that, do we have to actually read them, or can we just say they're in the
If you,
packet?
if you prefer, you don't have to read them all into the record, we can just make reference to how they're listed in the staff.
But
Okay.
they'll be copied into.
Yeah.
Okay, into the minutes,
So they don't have to be
Yeah.
read
Okay.
necessarily.
okay.
It appears to me, just as far as discussion goes, that most of the findings of fact, at least based on these photos and diagrams, it seems like there is the 2 feet setback, and I think it seems like the discussion we've had so far relates mostly to topography, landscaping, historic paving, that bullet point. And, you know, the issue of whether the posts could be painted or in some way fit better with the character defining features of the building. But I don't know, it looks to me like all the others are, you know, most of these bullet points are, seem to be met in what's proposed.
So, can I have a motion to approve the findings of fact?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second? Want to take a roll call vote, just
Yes,
by
Mr.
acclamation?
Chair. Chair Bennington?
Approve?
Okay, Vice Chair, Member Steeler,
Approve.
Member Williams,
Approve.
Member Seiler, Member Warren, and Member Benson.
Approved.
All right, so Commissioner Benson, you were suggesting that maybe based on the findings of fact, we might want to propose some conditions. Might want to craft a proposal to approve the application.
Yeah, I'm kind
Based
of on
on
the
certain-
fence of what specifically they should be. I would think we would want to follow the planning director's suggestion of, at the very least, making sure that the posts themselves are painted to match the trim of the What else do you guys, anyone else have thoughts on that? Do we want to require any landscape screening or anything else we've talked about?
I mean, personally, I don't think so, because he's mentioned planting a Cuba, and I think a Cuba's a fairly fast-growing plant, I think. I don't,
It's all up and down. We have Nandina that
Right.
are taller than some of the Nandina are almost, probably, 15 feet tall.
yeah, yeah.
And so from the street, about all you can see is the roof of the, addition of the closet. And so, but, I guess, I think, I've been told that you have to wait, for about 6 months to a year before you paint,
Right,
treat it.
yep, yep.
And then what I would do is solid color stain that penetrates rather than, can peel off and flake off.
Yeah.
Especially since it's treated on.
Yeah.
Would that be satisfactory?
It sounds reasonable to me.
It is with me.
I mean, I completely understand you don't wanna do it now because it's just gonna,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives problems. I think it has to breathe so long time for that creosote or whatever's in the post.
Okay,
Do you want, just a recommendation, do you want to add some kind of time frame within that? Within a year?
yeah, within a
Yeah,
year
within a year.
would be reasonable, all right?
Seems reasonable.
So, we need a motion to approve the proposal contingent upon painting the posts to match the house, match the trim on the house, right? Is there-
When you say the house has the shingles, or are you saying like the trim on the?
The trim on the
Trim.
house, the trim
I
on the
wanted to make
house,
sure I
yeah,
had it right.
yeah, yeah. And contingent on using the materials that you've presented to us today, the
Okay.
cedar shingles and the wood trim, right?
And, yes, and that the pillars be painted within 1 year.
The pillars be painted within 1 year, right?
That'd
Good.
be a goal.
Okay, all right. Bree, are you getting some kind of version of this? Do you want to try what you have?
She's really good at that.
I was like, what I have is that you're gonna make a motion to approve the application contingent on using the materials presented at the meeting and with the addition to have the post painted to match the trim of the home within a year.
Okay, good. All right.
so moved.
Second.
Okay.
Chair Pennington,
Approve? Aye?
Vice Chair Vandermeer Peeler, Member Williams,
Aye.
Member Seiler, Member Warren, and Member Benson.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Great. Okay, thanks, Mr. Hall.
Oh,
I think
thank you all.
So, yes.
Jamie will be in touch about,
We
we'll
will
need to get a
be
building permit.
We will be issuing you a COA, a placard,
Okay.
that you can display in the window so everyone knows that you've gone through and been approved for your project. You will also, I wouldn't continue construction until you get your building permit though, and we can, help you through that as well. But, don't restart construction until that occurs and you get approval for that,
Okay.
okay?
How long does that usually take, Jeannie?
I believe it has been initiated, and so I don't imagine that it will take, it's not a large project, and depending upon the plans that are submitted, that kind of dictates the review process, so,
But maybe 30 to 60 days?
I would hope that that would be the case. It
It's the
doesn't,
holidays.
doesn't fall under our review, but I will, keep an eye on it.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Thanks so much.
Mr. Hall, thanks for coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your house is beautiful, and you go to a lot of lengths to make it look like it always has, so that's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, class at First Baptist Church after she came back from the mission field. And I loved the older people. We would go, it would be nothing for us to go to the Wilmington, to the Azalea Festival after church on Sunday. And eat and then come back. All in one
That's a
day.
long trip.
Yeah, I love the older ladies, but I love history. Anyway, thank you.
That's
all.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Wish the
much.
best for your wife.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, same to you, and I expect you to drop by.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring you some Christmas cookies,
Hey,
if I get energetic enough to bake them.
Pardon?
I might bring you some Christmas cookies if I can get my kids to help me make them.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Sounds very good.
Thank you, Mr.
all.
Hall.
Take care.
much. Thank you, Jamie.
Of course.
Our next item of business is a review and approval of the 2025-2026 regular scheduled meeting calendar. Planning Director Lawson.
Yes, so on an annual basis, we just asked the commission to review the schedule. This is just kind of in line with our normal, meeting date of the second Tuesday of the month. There is just one correction, and that would be the November meeting. The building is actually closed on the 11th, so we would have the meeting on the 12th. All right?
So that would be a Wednesday.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's Veterans Day, isn't it?
So typically, I think the board, the commission has just voted on the calendar.
Yeah, okay. So is there a motion to approve the calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Abstentions? All right, good.
And the calendar gets posted on the website as well, so.
Right, good. And I noted to you at the beginning of the meeting that Vice Chair Vandermouse Peeler and I realized that neither of us will be here for the January meeting, so.
So let's just discuss, just procedurally, while everyone is still
Yeah,
here.
that's a good idea.
When that situation occurs where the chair and the vice chair are not present, the members of the commission who are present would vote that evening to appoint a chair pro tem. We can still conduct the meeting as long as there's quorum and proceed. We wouldn't cancel the meeting.
So we need 4 of the 5 remaining members to appear for.
Are you guys on study run? I'm not this year, so please don't be here.
You be busy
I will be busy, but I will always be here.
Our next agenda item is new business. Since the last meeting, Commissioner Seiler brought to our attention some issues related to Brown Cemetery. And would you like to just say a word?
Sure.
And then,
I was over by Brown Cemetery, and it almost just looks like an empty lot at this point. There's only a couple of gravestones that are actually like visible and able to recognize that they're gravestones. And so I wasn't sure if that was something that's under our purview, or if it's already a landmark, or if it could be designated as a landmark, or if there's anything we can do to better display it.
all right.
So I
Lenny.
did reach out to our cemetery superintendent. His name is Alan Idle. That is a cemetery that the city does maintain. He did provide me with a pretty detailed email. There is some information on the cemetery itself that he has. I can forward this information on to you guys. And I would also
So that would be interesting and definitely useful. There's also the condition of the cemetery that you were raising.
I will let him know that we all spoke, and I updated you guys on, who was responsible for the maintenance, and we can go from there in terms of, I'll defer to him, and maybe at some future date, he could come to speak to the commission, or we'll discuss what's appropriate.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there may be scope for restoration somewhere, and there may be,
A project that we
Yeah.
can seek some grant funding
Right.
for.
I was gonna say, I know from a small experience in Durham, North Durham, there was an African-American cemetery there that had fallen into major disrepair. And there are some grant funds from the state for cemetery, that are specific to historic cemeteries, but I never really was involved in that research.
That's why I wasn't sure if they needed the landmark designation or any kind of, something along those lines.
That would be a separate process. That would be a process where somebody would have to initiate that request. That may or may not, elevate the number of restrictions that could go on. I'm not, I think it's something that we could study and take a look at, and with maybe, if we get a grant to pursue that, they can provide some recommendations on the best course of action too.
okay, good. So we'll check back in next meeting
Yep.
about this. Great.
I noticed that is today, or when is the deadline for people to send you guys a notice? Do we know whether there's agenda items for January meeting yet?
We have not received agenda items yet for next.
Because it seems like, is that part of this calendar? Is today, I think today might be the deadline.
Typically, our deadlines are the meeting before.
Mhm. So it might be that there's nothing to
Might be
consider
that there's no-
next month anyway?
Yeah, so like the first week of, January is when I'll send a quorum check,
Yeah,
so that's when you would let me know.
okay.
Great. Is there any other new business? Great. Other business, minor COAs?
Yep, included in your packet are some minor COAs that, staff reviewed and approved. Since we haven't met in a while, you'll see some older ones, but, those are just for your FYI.
There were two properties with what looked like major landscaping or tree work being done on West Davis Street this week. Did they come through you?
I'm only aware of one, which I think was brought to my attention by a commission member. I am having code enforcement go out to investigate that, because I haven't seen the level of extent of vegetation removal.
There's also one at, I don't know the address, right at the corner of Hillcrest, the White House. There's a huge tree taken down,
I noticed that on
This
my way
week.
to work today.
a huge tree.
I mean, it must have had issues, but I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that property has come before this commission before for,
So the standards in terms of tree removal, if it's witnessed by an expert, to be dead or dying or diseased, we typically, in the past, they have had to come in front of the Historic Preservation Commission. Now that we have the updated standards, staff requests that the property owner or the person who contacts us provide us with that documentation. Oftentimes, even above and beyond that, we will have Jason Barnhill, who is our city arborist, go out to confirm that as well. So I keep a record of those who have contacted and Jason's feedback as well.
Yeah, I mean, this looked like a 200-year-old tree.
yeah,
It was big.
yeah,
The big one was in the front.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, but the stump looked like it was like white wood. The stump didn't look
I know.
diseased, but
I know.
I'm not a tree expert.
So,
I thought that, I looked at that and thought that was
Yeah.
kind of sad.
I'm sorry, I don't know the address offhand, but it's, yeah, I want,
If anyone has it while they're driving by, or,
Yeah.
you know, just email us. We also will go out and do.
I wonder if someone might just check documentation and,
I don't, I'm just looking, and I don't have any emails, in my folder regarding that request for a property with that address.
Does anybody, just, this is just informal, not a commission issue, but, did they finish renovations on that rock house over, it's at the corner of
The
Davis
castle?
and,
oh,
the one that's for
Castle?
sale?
Not inside anyway, it's still
Yeah,
half done.
and so, if they're not doing outside work, then we don't have to worry about it, right? But it looked like they had put it on the market with the renovations kind of half done, and I was just curious. Yeah, I would love
So
to see
this is
somebody buy that
us.
house, but they're asking a
and that's
lot
Woody,
for it,
so
considering
722,
the amount
that's
of work.
correct.
Just wondered if anyone knew anything about that place in Hopeville, so.
Definitely hope it sells.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been sitting vacant for some time. Yeah.
It would be nice to have some, such a cool looking house.
It's gotta be the best Halloween house ever.
I mean, it's a really cool house.
And I went in during the open house, and it's largely finished inside. I mean, what needs to be done
That's
is
what I
paint
wondered. I
and
didn't see it
trim.
during the open house, so.
It's just gotta be primed and painted and trimmed out.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they were asking that much for it,
Yeah,
considering
right.
they hadn't finished it off yet.
And it has a
But-
backyard that's just wide.
Yeah.
Mhm. But it is a really cool house.
Board holiday party?
We are having a board, party joined with the other commissions that planning gets involved with, planning, zoning commission, and board of adjustment. We're, doing it this coming Monday. And we're hoping to have it earlier and more condensed to get more interaction and more, more people coming. In the past, we've had, a little bit longer where sometimes we, staff has sat there and just waited for additional people. to
People come in and out, yeah.
But I think this is, you know, this, especially for new commission members and new board members, this is a great way to network and, you know, just have a meet and greet. Bree is always so fantastic in terms of her, planning, so everything will be right out here. And the idea is to have it right before the planning and zoning commission.
So what time does it start?
This coming Monday, right? Right.
So it goes to from 5:30 to 6:30. And, you know, there'll be refreshments, you can take things to go. We just invite everyone, and appreciate you all.
Thanks, Bree, for setting that up. All right, is there an emotion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
I think we're adjourned.